The following is a special presentation of Tony Curry Radio.
Welcome back to another rousing K4Wins. I'm Tony Curry along with Kai Gregory. Hey guys, in the handicap ball games for nearly 4 decades. Between the two of us, I think we've won and lost for nearly 80 years. K-Skeeper, I say win and lose because I know that we've certainly had our fair share of wins, but we've had some fair share of losses. We bring those up here at K4Wins, but for the most part, we've been winner, chicken dinner ever since we got this endeavor started. K-Skeeper, Executive Director, Chief of Editing for the Las Vegas Sun. He will join us on Friday. He's on vacation for 2 weeks. That's a good deal. He's got those ESPN hours, you know, where each person like has their thing. Like Paul Feinbaum is on every single day because he's on radio. But like a lot of these guys, like McAfee, all these, they work one specific sport. Like Mel Kiper Jr., you don't hear anything from him for like 9 months, and all of a sudden he's all over TV. And then the rest of the time they go off and do their own thing. And so he's doing that because football season is over. But he'll be back for March Madness in a couple of weeks. And then of course his dear old dad Kip, who we love dearly around here on the starting lineup. But not only that, but also, of course, K4Wins will join us on Friday as well. Lots to get into first. How did we do this past weekend on our numbers? Do tell.
Yesterday, 2-1. Unfortunately, I got roped into believing that North Carolina was not going to pull that win off. How wrong was I? 24-11 last week. So $100 a game better was up $11.90. 24-11 year to date. This year we are 195 and 117 and 62.5%. Again, $100 better just since January 1st with us is up $6,630.
Nice.
And overall,
that's with the juice. With the juice.
That's with the juice.
That's the juice.
We took all the juice at minus 110, and that doesn't count. We have had some games that we've been minus 130 on that have lost. We've also had some games that were plus 270 that won. So. And then year to date, assuming the same on minus 10 juices, 1797 and 1053. So if you've been with us since we started posting, having our own website and everything since August of 24, you're up $100 better. If you played every single game we posted, every game, you're up in less than 2 years, $63,870. Come on, jump on board. We are here to help.
Yeah, and if you're like, you want to win money, of course it's important. I always feel better when I lose someone else's plays. No one wants to go 0-6 by themselves because not only are they hurting their pocketbook, but they feel like a total dolt. And then at least you got someone else to blame, but you ain't blaming us because we've only had like one losing week in forever. So, and that's over the course of, it's over the course of a week. Well, yeah, it's over the course of a week. We can't be a winner every day. But that's how we do. You pay your man or he pays you. In this case, he's paying you every week. So that's the way to go. All right. Huge weekend of college hoops. I want to kind of go over what just happened here because we had a pair of 1 versus 1s that were unbelievable. You mentioned North Carolina. I had a good friend of mine. He is a huge North Carolina fan. He usually goes in town on Tobacco Road for the Duke game. This year he went for the NC State game. You and I pegged that game. NC State giving up 6.5, if not 7. We talked about that. And they get blown out by 24. They did bounce back against a good Louisville squad, 77-74. Both Alabama, Auburn, big victories over the weekend. Wow, Auburn gets it done against Kentucky. It's Kentucky. It's who knows, man? Just when you start thinking they're playing Kentucky, it's just like, and this sounds like, I hate to say this is Calipari's team again. It feels like this Kentucky squad, you just don't know what to get from week in and week out. It's really, really strange. Houston just went through hell. Kansas, Arizona, and Iowa State back to back to back. LLL. They lose on all 3. But then again, they're still a 2 seed, just a monster schedule. And that Kansas over Houston game was huge. Stephen F. Austin. Wow. 25-4 now. A big loser to New Orleans, who's not even playing 500 ball this past week. Miami of Ohio goes later on tonight. They're trying to win their 28th game in a row against Eastern Michigan. And we also had a Cincinnati, a home team of mine. I don't like Cincinnati because I'm a Xavier fan. My Muskies suck. They lost to Providence over the weekend. I think it was Providence. No, Butler. They lost to Butler. They'll lose to Providence tonight. But Cincinnati, a nice win over Kansas as well without one of their best players. But a lot to get into, and we got 10 teams in the SEC. Give me, I know you watch a lot. Give me 3 or 4 different things that you saw over the weekend. I know you got something to say about the Auburn-Kentucky game that kind of surprised you, that I knew it was coming. Tell me what you think.
Well, Stephen F. Austin lost that game you're talking about as an 18.5-point favorite,
Mm-hmm.
by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So you got that. You talked
We
about a
didn't
couple
post New
schools.
Orleans, did we? We didn't post We didn't post New Orleans by chance.
We didn't touch that game.
Okay.
I didn't like either side. NC State's catching 6 tonight at Virginia, by the way. And
Over under 151.5. But again, I can't remember the last time we saw Virginia total in the 150s. Am I crazy or am I going under on that?
I mean, if you play it, you got to play it under, especially since they're at home.
At home, yeah. I mean,
NC State averages about 6.5 points less per game on the road as well. So both of those lay into it. Just like tonight, Cincinnati, you're talking about, they're catching 6 at Texas Tech. If Toppin hadn't gotten hurt, this is a 12-point line. It's just kind of crazy. This weekend was wild. I did not. I mean, some things you're talking about that I did not expect. Did not expect Auburn to beat Kentucky. Did not expect Tennessee to beat Vandy at Vandy. That Auburn Kentucky game also. Oh, did you see the game? Did you watch the press conferences? I mean, Coach Pope definitely threw his blame on the officials.
Yes, he did.
But officials don't make or miss free throws, and the officials don't make or miss 1-foot shots. Like watching in the Arkansas Alabama game, last week. The officials didn't make Ewing miss the dunk putback that would have won the game in double overtime either. So it's been an interesting season looking at the college basketball. And before I jump, I gotta ask you, Tony. I'm going to do your job here. I'm going to see what you think, and then I'm going to tell you my opinion on Betty Yako appealing again to try to come back.
Yeah, I saw that story last night and I had to rub my eyes and I'm like, sometimes when you tune into a TV, if you've been watching the VCR or the DVR or whatever it is, and you go back,
good God, age yourself, man.
Watching my beta tapes. When you go back to live TV, it goes back to where it was before, which means sometimes it goes back hours before. And so you're looking and it's like 8 o'clock at night, but it's this 2:30 in the afternoon. You're like, and so you have to fast forward. It's one of these fucked up things, Spectrum gets really weird. I thought I had actually done that, but did it by days because I was like, wait a minute, Betty Hocko's back again. I saw it on Channel 13 last night. I don't know if Nate Oates, you have to wonder at some point, what is the distraction to the point where if I'm a player in that basketball team, I'm like, Coach, we're a 4 seed right now, maybe a 5 seed. We've got to run in this, depending on how we shoot our threes. We can do this without Bediako. I don't know what kind of hard on Nate Oates has got for Bediako. I know he's a good player. I know he's played in Europe, but obviously the team should be better with him on it because he's a 7-foot freak, and he's only going to get better and better and better. He averaged 10 and 4 and 2 when he played. But when you're talking about taking 20% of your offense or defense and moving in and out because this one guy keeps going back to court, back and forth, I just wonder from a distractionary standpoint, when the guys on the team are going to go, screw it, guys, this is, I would bet that the guys on the basketball team who are the starting 5 or 6 have probably had dinner and said, you know what? We love this kid. He's great. Obviously, he's one of ours. But doggone it, let's play like he's never going to play again, and let's go out there and get it done. Let's make sure when he comes back, he's sitting on the bench, that he doesn't have to play in order for us to be successful, because I'm just thinking as a player standpoint, how much it would piss me off if I was a player and he was taking time away from me. That's all I'd say.
Well, to all these Alabama fans that say, oh, everybody's just, trying to screw Alabama because all these other players have professional experience, and all these players this and all these players that.
No, and let's back up real quick. The difference here is everyone says, well, all these European guys have been playing or are playing on these. And there's a guy in Auburn's playing to, yes, that is true. But those kids didn't play college ball first.
Correct.
They didn't play college ball first. Yeah, go ahead.
He signed an NBA contract. He played G League. I get it. And everybody's like, oh, blah, blah, blah. You're just trying to screw Alabama. No, the difference is what you said. He played college basketball first. He chose to leave for NBA, dreams. Now, had he stayed another year, I think he might have had a lot more success because he could have developed more. He was just young. But now you've got a guy who left college, went to the NBA. I can't help he sucked. Okay? And no, don't get me wrong, not sucked. Is he better than everyone outside the top 1,000 basketball players in the country, NBA college? Yes, but he could not hack it point blank at that level.
Yeah.
That's happened to all kinds of players, great players, horrible players, in between. Do I think it's a joke that Bronny James is playing in the NBA over Bediako? Yes, but that's a whole nother rant that I could go on. So I just think it's ridiculous. And to bring to your point what you're talking about and chemistry of a basketball team, because your chemistry in February should be much, much, much better. If not, I mean, of course, you take away for injuries, then it would have been in say, November. But I take it to my son, the 7th grader, his middle school basketball team. We had a kid transfer in as we're getting into the last 2 games of the season and then tournament. Well, he was eligible, legit moved to Hoover. He's played. He played a couple of games, and then some things happened. He wasn't able to play the semifinals and the finals of the tournament. The team, he's a very good player. He's going to be a very good player. You'll see him at Hoover High School in 3 years on the varsity, guaranteed.
Yeah.
But it just worked out, and they played much better without him because the chemistry of practicing together for a week just wasn't there. Not because he wasn't a great player, but that happened, and then they came back and they played much better when it was their team that had been together for 3 months. So I think it's a travesty. And I don't like Alabama. I'm not an Alabama fan, but I do feel for the players on that team, because you are correct that even in this day and age, there is something about being on that team and being together versus a guy just coming in,
coming in.
Here's your spot. It's not like he was traded like in the NBA, but even then, you have a 1 or 2 week with professional players to where they have to adjust, like Cleveland's doing with James Harden.
Exactly. And James Harden, I think, is a great example. You think of James Harden, my gosh, he's an MVP, he's a Hall of Famer. I get that, but it just changes the chemistry of the game, and totally. The other thing about that is at first I thought it was a good thing that he keeps coming out, because we all know the name Bediako. We know that name, and I'm sure they know it in the NBA and they know it in the European League. I do wonder at some point, though, when the distraction is just too much. I don't like if the Timberwolves wanted to take this kid or the Spurs wanted to take this kid somehow. Would that be a helpful thing to know that his name's been out in the media and in the court system or as a fan, are you like, because for me, man, I just don't want legal crap involved in my sports at all. I hate it. I hate when congressmen start bringing shit up. I hate when the president invites teams to the White House. I don't like it. I don't like to mix my politics and my sports. It's one of the few things. That's why I hated the Colin Kaepernick thing. I hate when we mix politics and my sports. It's the one clean thing that I get to own that I don't have to have any politics involved with it at all. I don't like that.
Just like this bullshit of people going to the White House or not going because of whether your party affiliation. I mean, it's an honor to be, no matter what you think of the current president or any president at the time. It's the office, and it's a tradition and it's something. And unfortunately, people have put the politics in the way. And let's be frank about it. It's been liberals and it's been the left 99% of the time that destroy it. I've seen Patel getting ripped since yesterday.
He had a beer in his hand. Oh my gosh, he had a beer in his hand.
How dare a 50-year-old man have beer in his hand? Good God. And then, but I did think it was kind of humorous, but maybe a little bit far, watching that video and Trump going, "Hey guys, we're going to have to invite the women also."
Sure.
Like, well, yeah, sure. But it's sad. There's going to be more members. There will be more hockey players there than apparently Democrats in Congress, because there's, some of them are going to be protesting tonight. So, good God, but man, what one hell of a game from the United States. And I've seen a lot of crying on social media from Canadians, including their coach. And I think the Prime Minister talking about how they dominated the game. Well, that's great. You lost.
If they play that game 10 times, the Canadians win 8 times. Sure. When they're even during shift changes, when they were out there, it looked like they were playing a JV league. Of course, the one unbelievable save behind his back, the goalie for the United States, was really the saving grace moment. And of course, the win in overtime was fantastic. By the way,
but people forget that you play 3 quarters, and 3 periods, and then they played overtime. The United States was better than Canada the entire first period. Yep. They were better than Canada for about 8 minutes of the second period. Now, the last 10, 12 minutes of the second period, and for sure the third period, Canada dominated. But they didn't dominate the goalie. Everybody's talking about their offense, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but the United States defense was pretty damn good.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's the best game Hollenbrock has ever played
Yeah.
and may ever play. But that's one of the things that I love seeing. I mean, I'd much rather see someone like Jack Hughes represent our country than Malin or whatever, Rapinoe or whatever, who's, or any of these other people who are, cursing the flag or the president or any of that. I don't care, right wing, left wing, whatever you are. You should never go represent your country and speak ill of it, whether it's America, Korea, Canada, Asia, whatever. And if I was president, I'd be like, you know what, if you're going to, or dictator or whatever, if they did it, I'd remove them. Be like, well, you don't like the country, get the hell out.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, yeah. Thanks for bringing politics into my sports. After I just said I didn't want to talk about it. No, I understand where you come from. I know you're a patriot, and I understand Kip was the same way. But that's what living in the United States means. We're allowed to do that. We're allowed to, and that's one of the reasons we're so great is because we can speak ill of our own country.
And we had a big to do. We had a big to do in Hoover this weekend. I won't get into it because if I got into it, it would take a long time. But that's one of the things that makes the country great. Yes, is that you have people on the left of center and the right of center, and you have people down the middle, and you have people 8 million miles right and left of it. And then the sad thing is, and yes, I'm very passionate about it, especially since my son's Marine, is knowing and just talking to him a little bit and hearing some of the things going on in the background is that you've got people that are willing to fight for the right for you and me to have this podcast, Tony, to be able to say whatever we want to say.
And a party. Yes.
Yeah. But you have people's rights to do whatever they want, including, making something stupid like trying to fight the NCAA for, a 97th year of eligibility that you can't get in other countries. But we have people that fight and die for us to do that. So, it's pretty incredible to live in America, no matter what you think.
And on top of that, there's one thing that you can't do, and that is break into Mar-a-Lago and try to snipe the president of the United States of America. So Donald Trump's got bigger issues. Only Donald Trump was like, yeah, it sounds like people out there trying to kill my ass. And I'm like, yeah, this is like, the fourth or fifth time so that's happened, and he's still got 3 years to go. So, wear a helmet, sir. Make sure that you're okay. I don't want to see anyone get on the other end of the bullet. It comes too close. The other game, by the way, yeah, hold on before we move on because they're going to get pissed off at me. We're 17 minutes into this podcast and I have not mentioned the UAB Blazers getting it done.
Oh, we got to go there first. Then go ahead.
They win by 11 points at Memphis. Of course, that is a rivalry of sorts in football. It is the rack of bones that they play for. It's much more of a rivalry in college football than it is in basketball. But the UAB Blazers are playing lights out on the road. 78-67. I don't know what they're doing. They've won 8 games now on a road. That is the second longest outside Miami of Ohio, who, of course, has not lost a game all year long. They're 27-0. They'll play on the road at Eastern Michigan. We'll get your shots on that. I think that line's a little interesting tonight. 10.5. Eastern Michigan's catching tonight. But I want to give it up. The AAC tournament is in Birmingham. And people are like, that doesn't bode well for the UAB Blazers. Well, it actually does because it is considered a road game for the UAB Blazers because it's being played at the BJCC. And I can't remember the last time. I think the last time they played the BJCC, they lost. They played West Virginia. This was a couple of years ago. They may have played again since then. But if I was spoken to David Crane, who obviously calls the games, and he's like, we're trying to get Andy to tell the basketball team that basically they're not in Birmingham, that they're in a different town altogether, and to treat the arena like they're not playing there because they're playing us against the world type of thing. A good basketball team, I mean, it's amazing. I mean, I don't know what the committee, someone was like, well, they're certainly a March Madness team. I said, no, they're not even close. I said, they've got to win the AAC in order to get in. Now, if they go to the championship game and they're sitting at 24-12, maybe.
What are they ranked right now in the conference?
I think they're 4th right now, and of course, first things first. Yeah, they're tied for 4th. They've
moved up quite a bit in the last 2 weeks.
They were 9th, and they moved up to 4th. So they got that Sun Belt thing where there's an actual triple bye at the top, which would be huge. Triple bye sounds like you just don't play at all. I think if you're in a triple bye, I think you play is it the one game? I think it's only 1 or 2 games. Anyway, they've got it. Obviously, they're playing for that triple bye, but they got to make it in first. 10 of the top 13 teams make it in. We already know 2 teams are out, so I don't think that's going to be a problem. But seeding is going to be really, really important, and don't be surprised if they end up playing Memphis for a 3rd time. But anyway, I just wanted to give kudos to the UAB Blazers. What he's done with that basketball team is amazing. He won more basketball games in the first 4 years with the team than any other coach in a 4-year stretch, period. That includes Gene Bartow's all of his wonderful years when he left UCLA. He's averaging 24 victories a year, and this year he brought back 2 minutes from last year's team. All 12 guys came in, except the one guy was he messed. He lost Yaxel, he lost Bude, he lost 3 other guys from his basketball team who are all playing really well with other teams, albeit go make some money. But anyway, I just want to give him kudos. We'll see what happens. A team that a lot of people do not want to play is the UAB Blazers, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and we got some great games tonight. I've been looking at this stuff. I know, and we talked with Kip about, kind of breaking down the SEC. I mean, you've got everybody in the SEC left has 4 games left. And you've got, Florida 1, Alabama 2, Arkansas 3, Tennessee 4. So here's a question. Let's just go. I mean, you have the buys, the double buys, and the I don't think you have a triple buy anymore. But so Florida, I mean, let's be honest. Nobody's catching Florida. They're 12-2.
They're now up to two. They're now. Yeah, they're up to. And some Lenardi doesn't have them quite there, but they're up to a 2 seed according to CBS Sports. I think Lenardi still has them a 3 seed. You get Iowa State, Purdue, Houston, and Illinois as your 2 seeds right now. Lenardi's saying, but Florida sniff at a 2.
Oh heck, I'm only talking about SEC. The standings in that. But I mean, them at 12-2, and then 3 teams behind them at 10-4, and I don't think anybody has a chance to catch them because I don't see Florida. Do you see them losing any of these games at Texas? Now, that is certainly possible. Texas plays well at home, but then they got Arkansas, Mississippi State, and then they go to Kentucky. So maybe they lose at Kentucky, to
2-2 at worst, probably 3-1. Yeah, 2-2 at worst.
Maybe they lose to Kentucky due to the refs in Kentucky because you never know. But okay, so is Alabama going to do better than 3-1 when they got Mississippi State at Tennessee? And then Georgia, Auburn. They got 3 home games.
Tennessee's going to be tough, and Auburn's always tough.
Arkansas's got Texas A&M, then they're at Florida, then Texas, then at Missouri. I mean, 2-2, maybe 3-1, but they could go 1-3 in that stretch.
Arkansas is a 6 seed right now, according to Joe Lenardi. So they're right there. And you mentioned Texas; they're an 8 seed right now. So yeah. I think what happens, I can see a lot of teams, and you see this towards the end of the year. I can see a lot of teams if they've got 5 games going 3-2 or 2-3, and if they got 4 games 2-2, even some of the better teams 2-2, just because they're adjusting themselves and really the seeding. I think outside the conference tournament, and we've seen teams that go into the tournament with a 1 seed and lose in the second round. It doesn't change anything. I think for the most part, the selection committee has the seeding done before the conference. Well, they have to have it done before the conference tournaments, even though, okay, now we know exactly what the seeding is. And if something miraculous happens, like an injury or something like that, then it may change some of that seeding. But yeah, it's a good point. I do want to go through A&M a 9 seed, Vandy a 5, Florida 2, Alabama 5, Kentucky 6, Texas 8, Arkansas 6, Auburn 10. Sitting right there. Tennessee a 5 seed. By the way, great win for them on the road. And Georgia 10 seed. That is one thing that did buck the trend a little bit for us, Kai, this past weekend was a lot of road teams were getting it done, which I was kind of surprised by.
Yeah, and my beloved Volunteers go to Missouri tonight. That is going to be an interesting game. 8 o'clock Central tip. And it just seeing that, I mean, Tennessee's 3.5 at Missouri. Missouri plays really well at home. That's kind of scary. Still looking at it. Some of the teams you talked about. I'm gonna tell you what, a team that nobody's thinking of, but they can make some people sweat, especially they're at home. Look out for Missouri. I mean, Mississippi State. They're at Alabama, then they got Missouri, then they're at Florida, then they got Georgia. If they take down Georgia and Missouri at home just to go 2-2, they can do some damage to some people, not only where they are going to be in the SEC, but also in the NCAA tournament. And, I even look at somebody that's really playing really well, I think, right now as an Oklahoma, who's 14 right now in the SEC tournament, but they've got Auburn at home, very winnable game for Oklahoma. They go to LSU, that's a very winnable game for Oklahoma. They play Missouri at home. Missouri's not the same team on the road. That's a very winnable game. Then they go to Texas. I could see them finishing 3-1 and jumping up into the top 12 seeds, which would help them. And really impressive. I got a Tony Curry. I don't think it's useless stat, but the same team in college basketball is number one in scoring in the country, and they're number one in scoring in their conference. What team is it, Tony Curry? Averaging 92.6 points per game.
Well, it's a West Coast team. No?
It is not.
I do not know. Who is it?
It is a team 45 minutes to our northwest. I'm southwest. That would be Alabama.
Oh,
they average 92.6 points per game, number one in the country. Miami of Ohio second at 92.3. High Point, 91.1. Georgia, 90.2. St. Louis, 90.1.
How about
that? Some good things. Here's something that I found really interesting. Point differential. Number one in the country. Who do you think it is?
Oh, my gosh. Duke.
Point differential.
Duke.
St. Louis Billikens, plus 22 at number one. High Point's up in there at plus 20.7. Who is the number one defensive team in the country, Tony?
That would be Duke.
Northern Iowa, giving up 61.1 a game. Houston, 62.3 at second. Duke is third at 63.1. Pretty impressive. And how about Florida? Chilewski or Childy or Chidlubdi or whatever for Florida's number one in rebounds in the SEC and in the country. Pretty impressive a resume that he has there. And it's just like, I'm still here. I've already got Florida for the national championship, and I know a lot of people disagree, and I don't want them to win, but the way if their guards continue to play the way they're playing, and Florida continues to get up and down the field and after, I really love the way that team's playing. We talked a little bit about some of the games coming up tonight.
Real quick, because I wanted to mention, and I keep saying Duke. It's only because my friend is a North Carolina fan. They've got Notre Dame later on tonight. They're giving up 17.5. Duke's supplanted Michigan this past weekend as the overall number one seed, and for good reason, because of course they beat Michigan. So that's really interesting. Before you move on, I want to go over some of the SEC games because we talk about these games and every game's important. But Kentucky at South Carolina tonight is no give me. It's a 7-point line,
and they're giving up 7 on the road. Which makes you say, okay, if they're giving up 7 on the road, they're 10 points on a neutral site, and they'd be 13 points at home. I don't know that Kentucky's necessarily 13 points better, but if I'm playing this game, and Kip, I apologize if you're watching, I have to lay the 7. I cannot take South Carolina plus 7, even though they're the home dog.
It looks like that. And then you mentioned it earlier. Auburn gets the big victory against Kentucky. They almost had to win that game in order to keep their hopes alive there of the ultimate bubble team. And now they're on the road at Oklahoma, and they're only catching 2.5, or actually they're giving up 2.5 at Oklahoma, a team that's under 500, 13-14. Here's one of those games where for the Auburn faithful, you better win this basketball game because the Kentucky game means nothing if you lose to Oklahoma. I know it's a close game, but if you don't win a team that's under 500 on the road, then you don't deserve to be in the big dance.
Yeah, Oklahoma's 13-14, overall, and yes, but it's at Oklahoma, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, Oklahoma's 9-5 at home. Auburn's 2-6 on the road, and I can't remember. I know his name, but I can't for the life of me. I love Oklahoma's coach. I got to take Oklahoma at home.
Yep.
I'm going with Kip's thought process. And the way these two teams play different home and away. And I got to take Oklahoma in this situation.
Another interesting game, Arizona, only 2 losses, playing the 14-13 Baylor Bears and only giving up 8.5.
Again, Arizona's had some struggles on the road, and Baylor does play much better at home. But this is a conference game. I hate it late in the year. We talked about it, how teams could be adjusting. But Arizona coming off of that Houston game, it's a great letdown spot, but I got to lay it or not play it.
How important is it that Tennessee shows up tonight against Missouri? Missouri's a good basketball team. They're actually catching 3 at home.
And Missouri is a very different team and plays much better at home. It's very important for Tennessee to show up. They got to at least, for lack of better terminology, keep it close or play well. I do not think I could give up 3.5 or lay 3.5 with this. I got to take another SEC home team, but I could see Tennessee winning by 1 or 2.
And by the way, it's amazing, and I'm sure it has a lot to do with this show. because we just started the show about 30 minutes ago, almost on the nose. We mentioned Miami of Ohio was a 10.5 point favorite. That line's fallen a point in the last half an hour. It's down to 9.5. So everyone's jumping on Eastern Michigan at home against Miami. Do you think Miami goes undefeated for the season?
Yeah. Their conference is just not spectacular, let's say. It's difficult. Again, I'm going to go back to your February games matchup and everything. Miami of Ohio should win this game by double figures. They should win by 10.
Now, three of the last 4 games are on the road. They got Eastern Michigan, they got Western Michigan coming up later on this week. Then they got Toledo at home, and they finish up the year on March 6th, the day before my birthday, at Ohio, the Bobcats.
And that's a huge rivalry game.
Mm-hmm.
If they're going to lose a game, that's probably it. But it being the last game of the year and a rivalry game, I'm not sure. And we'll have to see what they go for. But if you're Miami of Ohio, you can't slip up. If you slip up and lose a game, or if you slip up and lose your conference tournament, you're not getting in. I mean, they've already got them, even though they're undefeated and ranked 21st. They're an 11 seed, or is it 10 or 11?
They're 11. They're 11 seed.
They're one of the last ones in.
In the Mid-American, traditionally in the past has been that those MAC teams, man. You never know what you're going to get with a MAC team, man. I mean, they play crazy. You mentioned they're playing Western Michigan, who's 9-18. They play Toledo, who was sitting there at 14-13. Then they finished up the year against the Bobcats, who are 15-13. Yeah, they should have no problem. But like you said, man, one loss. I would have liked to seen, if I was the coach right there, I would like to see them at about a 9 seed right now, just so we have a little bit of a buffer. Now, if they end up winning their conference tournament, they're obviously going to be in. But if they lose one of these 4 ball games and then they lose maybe the second round of the MAC and they end up with 2 losses and don't make it in at 28-2, that'd be a travesty. I just think it would be. That's why I would love to see the expansion next year, because that is a basketball team that I think, from a fan stand, I would love to see play. I think it was it Manhattan a couple of years ago? They were 34-3 and didn't make it in, or 33-4.
Something like that.
They didn't make it in.
Hey, if you're a 3 seed in the NCAA tournament, do you want to see Miami of Ohio as an 11 in your bracket, knowing if they beat the 6, that's who you play in the second round?
No, I do not.
Florida get up and down the floor with them. There's a lot of teams that are projected as 2s, 3s, or 4s that could move, that do not want to see that matchup. And Tony, there's a lot of great matchups, not just tonight, and just depending on when tomorrow night, top 15 matchup, St. John's at UConn. Yep. Huge game. UConn has got to bounce back from the horrible loss to Creighton last week. Florida goes to Texas tomorrow night. Maryland at Nebraska. How about this? Georgia Vandy is tomorrow night. Portland Gonzaga, Mississippi State and Alabama is tomorrow night. Texas A&M at Arkansas, which I think that could be as high scoring as the Alabama-Arkansas game was without the 18 overtimes. And then Thursday, a game that I really think is going to be huge for standings and things moving forward. You got Michigan State, Purdue Thursday night also. So we've got that didn't even talk about, because we'll talk about weekend games on Friday. The matchups get better and better and better, and it is amazing that even preseason, somehow, some way, these schedules made end up being the biggest matchups that we could possibly get in the last week and a half of the season before you get into conference tournaments that we can't wait for, and it'll be interesting to see, because I think the SEC tournament's that way also. We'll be up on a Tuesday morning as they're starting to play in the Big 10, Big 12, and all those things
man.
also.
It's so good, conference tournament time, because they start them early in the week. They start them, I think, on that Sunday, and they just roll all the way through the week, and there's games like at 9 o'clock in the morning. It's just so fucking good. It's really good. The one thing that I just can't get over, and it's because my team plays in this league, but the Big East, man, just did not show up this year. They are beating the hell out of each other. You got UConn, St. John's, Villanova is 21-6. Seton Hall's 19-9. They're in right now, and that's it. Butler is not in right now. DePaul usually not in. Creighton usually is. The Blue Jays pretty good. Georgetown, perennial, is not in. Xavier's always in, not in. Providence always in, not in. Marquette's 9-18. Again, these are teams. If you're asking me to go watch any conference tournament from start to finish, Year in and year out, I'm going to watch the Big East up in New York City every single time because I know from top to bottom it's always been the best league. But this year, you could certainly make an argument the SEC is much better. I know there's better leagues, don't get me wrong, but from a competitive standpoint, from a recruiting standpoint, maybe the Big East just doesn't have the money. Maybe they're just not paying their players. But man, they're putting up a 3 spot right now where they normally have 9 or 10 teams in the Big Dance. So if you're always worried about the Big East,
a big part of it is kids don't want to go to some of those, like if they're not going to be dominant or if they're not even going to be up there, kids these days, I mean, if you're a stud from Miami, do you want to go live in Boston or New York or up there for 4 years when you've been used to, the tropical weather in the South?
You don't want 2 weeks. You don't want 2 feet of snow.
Do I? Yes. I love cold weather.
Yeah.
We had an opportunity to move to Boston 20 years ago. I wanted to go. My wife was like, we're not leaving the family, blah, 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 blah. Maybe it was 15 years ago. But that was an option. I would have loved to have done it. But can you imagine my conservative ass up there with a bunch of liberals?
That would be awesome.
I would have gotten along with them because, I do the same thing they do. Traffic, everybody flips each other off all the time. You're up from, you're more Yankee than you are a Southerner in your true blood. But, it's the SEC clearly taken off and where they've been in football and landscapes changed since we were kids or even in our 20s or 30s. And the landscape's changed and things have changed and the NIL has done it, but monetarily, these schools spending more and more and more money. You can go and play somewhere like Boston College or even UConn that does not have great. So hell, UConn for the longest time did more, and as Tennessee did for their women's program than they did their men's. Till they started winning, 20 years ago or what have you. And so, I think there's a big difference. And you look at schools, and if you go and look at what schools are spending money on basketball programs or baseball programs, as well as their football programs, you get that a lot more in the South, or at least south of New York and Michigan and stuff like that, and even the North Dakotas. I mean, these schools don't spend the money that the SEC and the Big Ten even does for their facilities. And I think that is a huge difference because then you also, what school now up north that you're talking about in the Big East, like you're talking about, what school up there has the resources to spend a lot of money on basketball for NIL or anything?
St. John's, that has a lot to do with their coach. Villanova's always gone pretty deep. Their alumni is really good. UConn obviously they've won national titles after national titles. The one thing that I love about basketball is these schools that don't even have football teams, like Butler's, the DePauls. I love those schools. They hang everything they got on their basketball programs because they don't have any other sense of financial security through their sports. So everything hangs on their bat, and it goes for the Xavier Musketeers as well. So to see the league down as much as they are right now is almost enough to take the commissioner, I don't know what the commissioner's name is, and give him the boot. That is something needs to change. I'm not saying it's directly related to the NIL or the transfer portal because the Big East has always been a destination place to play for hoops. And again, you're also talking about, the Northeast. You're talking about big schools. You're talking about Boston College. It's $200,000 a year to go to school there. You get a hell of a nice degree. If you get a degree from the Big East, you're doing okay for yourself.
Absolutely. And my whole point is, I see Tennessee spending, $50 million renovating their baseball stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What team up north is going to do that in baseball? But in basketball, seeing the money Alabama and especially Auburn has just spent in the last 10 years on their new arena. And then you see where St. John's plays or even UConn, they're not spending the money. These others and the other schools, I bet you if we polled 100 people watching this podcast right now or watching it delayed, and we just chose 100 random people, they couldn't name 10 teams in the Big East, and they couldn't name where half of those teams are actually located.
Yeah. All right.
And that is a big difference. You're correct. Landscape changed. Big East, I mean, hell, growing up, who was better? It was Big East and ACC.
Yeah.
The way it was. And now it's changed. Duke, North Carolina, Clemson, all those teams that have been so good in basketball for so long. Just like, good Lord, growing up, Georgetown. Remember John Thompson? The original John Thompson.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
John Thompson
Oh,
III.
no, it's fantastic. It's fantastic.
And St. John's, the way they were, I can't remember who it was on the team, but I remember the big redheaded guy from St. John's back in the 80s that played, big tall center. just incredible. And some of the teams, like talking about Providence, the run Rick Pitino had there, people don't even remember he freaking coached there.
Mhm.
And UConn before Hurley. And so, of course, since I brought it up, I can't remember the guy's name, Tony. Tall, slicked back hair. I cannot remember his freaking name.
Plays for who?
The coach at UConn for a while before Hurley, but then also Villanova's coach. What was that? Jay something.
Jay
or
Wright.
other.
Jay Wright was the Villanova. I love Jay because and I think he's wonderful on television. No, I know you're
Who was
talking
your
about.
stud Xavier coach there? Yeah, like 12 years at Xavier.
Oh
What was
man,
his
I mean they had Pete Gillen, who I absolutely loved. They had the Irishman, who's now calling games on television. Sean Miller, I think, was one of the worst things in the world to bring him back after he had the Arizona thing. I thought it was a great job opportunity for him to go to Arizona, but he'd gotten into some trouble out there doing some things he probably shouldn't have been. A good Catholic boy. Shame on you. We're all sinners. Hate the sin, love the sinner. But yeah, he came back and it was like, we get Sean Miller back, but they knew that he was not going to be there for more 2 or 3 years. I mean, he was just there as somewhat of a Band-Aid, and it's a shame because Sean Miller's better than that. But Skip Prosser is the guy I was thinking about. Skip Prosser was another great coach for they've always had. And you're right across the street, you got a school that's got 40,000 students, and Xavier's got 6. And they whip Cincinnati's ass year in and year out in the crosstown shootout, which I love. I got to go. We got things to do, man. Check us out again on Friday. We'll be on at 10 o'clock. K4Wins, K4Wins.com, K4Wins.com, K4Wins.com. Just check out our site. Look at our pricing structure. You're going to win. You got to stick with it for a little bit, but I promise you, you're going to be a winner. Chicken dinners, big time. We'll have Kip and we'll have Case back. We'll go back out to Vegas coming up here. Maybe we can get in a little minor league baseball or some minor league baseball since I know Kip was down there watching the Fruit League for the last couple of days. So good stuff. So we'll get into it again on Friday. Thank you, my friend.
5 plays locked and loaded tonight. Have a good one.
Get on it.
This has been a special presentation of Tony Curry Radio.